What's up, you magnificent bastards? In today's video, we're going to be talking about a Japanese game show. Now, we all know that Japanese game shows are the weirdest fucking things on the planet.
あとは土っていう感じはでは生駒さんには私の仲間になっていただきましょう
終始テンパりたった1問という結果生駒里奈ファラオ像
The game show I wanted to talk about in particular today, though, is one called Susunu Denpa Shonen that aired on Nippon TV in the late 90s. I think like 98, 97, something like that. And it was basically this thing where 20 people, I think it was about 20 people, signed up for a raffle for like a game show, and one guy was chosen, and his name was Tomoaki Hamatsu, but he's called Nasubi, which means eggplant, and I'll explain why he's called that later. But basically, he won the raffle for this game show, and he was basically chosen, and he was taken into a room, and in this room was nothing but like a rack that had a bunch of magazines on it, and like a table and some envelopes, and like just basic appliances like a stove, like a little gas burner, and that's pretty much it. That is it. And he was told to strip naked. He literally wasn't even allowed to have his clothes. And everything that he wanted, whether it be, clothing, food, or like anything you could think of, he had to win it through sweepstakes, through those like magazines that he had on that rack. He was only given water. He didn't even have like food in the competition. He had to get it through the sweepstakes. And you're probably wondering why he would actually like do this, like go into a room and strip naked and like go on TV like that. And the reason he did all of that is because he was a struggling comedian who really wanted fame. And the reason he's called Nasubi, which means eggplant in English, is because when he was naked and shit and they couldn't show his cock and balls on TV, they would cover it up with an eggplant. So, yeah. And the point of this game show was basically to have the person survive on nothing but their sweepstakes from the magazines, and through those sweepstakes they would earn things, like TVs and this and that, and eventually all the things that they won, they would have to add up to a monetary value of like 1,000,000 yen, which I think 1,000,000 yen is around $8 to $10,000, somewhere around there, maybe 9,000. So a lot of fucking money, and he had to earn like a ton of shit through the mail in sweepstakes that would eventually add up to 1,000,000 yen, and then after that he would be free. And since he had no clothes, one of the first things he applied for in the sweepstakes was an apron, which he didn't end up getting. And I think he was in this like competition for 15 months. That's like over a year. And for that entire 15 months that he was in this competition, he did not have any clothes at all. And I think up until this point, he did not have any food at all, and he was like starving basically. And a ramen like delivery boy, like a guy with ramen, had the wrong address, and he came to Nasubi's door. So this guy who hadn't eaten at all, he opens the door to some guy with ramen, and it turns out that it's the wrong address. And then I think one of the first things he won, or the first thing he won, was fiber jelly, whatever the fuck that is. He got like a bunch of like containers of it, and he was really excited about that. Obviously, it's the first dub because he fucking hadn't eaten yet. And then after that, his second prize was I think about 5 kilograms of rice, like a big fucking bag of rice. And then he gets on some completely like fucking genius life hack shit because he didn't know how to cook the rice. For a while, he was just eating the rice like raw, but eventually that wouldn't suffice. So he put like hot water in the rice and left it overnight to cook in one of the jelly containers, but that didn't work. It ended up just being watery rice. So then he gets on like some fucking genius level shit. He puts the rice in the jelly container and he puts it like next to the gas stove, so like the heat emanating off of it cooks the rice, and it ends up actually cooking the rice, and he can fucking eat it finally, which is like the first like real meal he's had in there for like, I think it's like, I don't know how long, a couple weeks at this point or something. And it took Nasubi like 6 fucking months, 6 long ass months with no clothes to earn 500,000 yen, which is halfway there. 6 months and he's only halfway there. And in these 6 months, he got a few prizes, a few notable ones. He got a bike, which is fucking useless because he has a tiny ass room. He can't ride it. I think he rode it once and then never again. And then he got a pair of used panties in the mail through the sweepstakes, which I didn't even know was a thing in the 90s. Like, that's weird. I thought that was like a recent like OnlyFans Belle Delphine shit, but fucking hey. And he tried to put them on, but they didn't fit him. So that was the only article of clothing he ever got in the entire 15 months was a pair of panties that didn't fit. And then the next notable prize that he won was a seal, like a little stuffed animal seal, which he named Binasu. And he literally, like, on some Castaway shit, talked to the seal like it was his best friend. And, like, I think he tied a rope to it and, like, walked it around, like, on a leash. Because he literally had no fucking, like, contact. Except the only contact he had was when the delivery man would come to his door and give him the shit that he won. That's it. It was fucking crazy. During this time, Nasubi also won toothpaste and a toothbrush at the 3-month mark, which was the first time that he brushed his teeth in 3 months. And then he also won a TV, which had no antenna, so it didn't work. And he also won like a special PlayStation controller and a PlayStation game, but he didn't have any PlayStation, so he couldn't play it. And during this time, this TV show got super fucking popular, like super popular. Like all of Japan was watching Nasubi in this room and shit. And I think like it averaged like 17 million views, which is crazy. But eventually somehow like the media and like the paparazzi and shit, they found out where Nasubi was doing this, like this challenge or whatever the hell. And they literally went there, like they're fucking like bothering him and shit. So the like directors, they woke Nasubi up in like the middle of the night, shining a goddamn like flashlight in his eyes, and he's confused as hell because it's the first time that he's like interacted with people and shit in like months. So he thinks that he's won too. He's like, have I won? Did I earn a million yen? They're like, no. And then they take him, it's like a long ass drive, like multiple hour long drive, to another small room, which is like basically identical, and he continues the challenge from there. So it's kind of fucked up. At this point, the directors are just kind of like torturing this poor man, like psychologically and shit, and he's already fucking has like horrible mental health, because like, if you're isolated, like isolation causes massive fucking like mental drain and shit. And before all of this, the TV show with Nasubi was a TV show. It wasn't a live stream. It wasn't a broadcast. It was a weekly thing. Every Sunday they would have like a 10-20 minute like summary of the week. And after Nasubi switched rooms to another room, they started live streaming it, like a broadcast, like 24/7 broadcast in the 90s, which is fucking pretty impressive. The quality was pretty shit, but for the time it was pretty impressive. And they followed him around like with a joystick to fucking keep the eggplant over his like junk and stuff. It was fucking like incredible. And then after Nasubi switches rooms, he starts to go on a crazy-ass winning streak. He earns, like, a watermelon. He earns a ticket to the Spice Girls movie. He earns, like, the biggest one was a VHS player, but he didn't have any VHS tapes, and the TV didn't fucking work, so it wasn't that much of a use. But it was a big monetary gain for him. And then after this, he went on, like, a fucking big-ass losing streak. Like, he did not hear a knock at the door from a delivery man for, like, weeks. So then the directors moved him again. And at this third place, he went on a massive winning streak again after moving places. He won a PlayStation, and he played on this PlayStation for 4 days straight. He literally played on this PlayStation nonstop for 4 days. And eventually he literally banned himself from playing PlayStation because he knew that it was just going to distract him from filling out the sweepstakes on the magazines, which is really the only way to get out of there. He also won a tent, but he didn't really use that at all. And during this time, he like ate dog food, which because he didn't have anything else to eat. He ate dog food a lot, and he ate dog food for like, that was his main source of like food for like a while, with a couple things here and there. And then after a while again, he won another big bag of rice, and that was like a big victory for him. And then finally after 335 days, he won. He got the 1 million yen prize. And you probably think that's the end of the story, but because of the sadistic fucking directors, it's not. So then he wins. He gets the 1 million yen prize, or like he earns up a million yen, and after 335 days, I believe, 353 days, I don't know, but around a year, and he finally wins. And the directors, they take him out, and he goes to Korea, and in Korea he goes to like an amusement park, and he has hella fun. He eats really good food again, and then after the trip to Korea, they take him into a room again, and he's like in his suit, and they tell him to strip again. He's in this fucking room again in Korea this time, and they tell him to strip again, and he's just like, he fucking hangs his head, and he's like literally on the fucking, like, he wants to kill himself, and he's just fucking done with this shit, but he does it. And this time, the prize is not to earn up like a certain monetary value. It's, he has to fill out sweepstakes again. He has to fill out sweepstakes again, and it's not to add up to a monetary value, but it's to get a plane ticket. And like, first he's just supposed to get an economy plane ticket, economy class plane ticket, and he does. He earns it up hella fast, but since the fucking directors are literally like literal demons, they upgrade it. So now he doesn't have to get a ticket for economy class, he has to get a ticket for business class, which is even more expensive. So then he earns that up, and then they're like, no, not business class, first class. And then he earns up a ticket to first class. And then finally, he gets to go home again. Like, he's out of this fucking thing again. And then he goes home back to Japan. And in Japan, they take him out. And, he's won at this point. And they take him out on the stage. He's blindfolded. And at this point, you gotta realize it's been like 14, 15 months. He has not seen a single human being. He hasn't interacted with like people that much, except for people at the door who have delivered things. And that is it. And so they take him out into the stage, and there's like this room, this mock room. It's like fake, but it's meant to look just like the room that he was in before. And they take him, they put him in this room, and at this point he already knows the drill. They don't even have to tell him. It's so fucking sad. He just starts stripping automatically, because he's already been in this room like twice before. And then the walls fall apart around him, and then boom, their fucking massive audience, like hundreds of people in the audience cheering and shit, and he's confused as fuck. He's like surprised, he's like freaking out, because this is the first time he's seen people, and like the first time he sees people again, it's like hundreds of people fucking yelling at him and cheering, and he's like, what the fuck? And like, that's it. he literally just fucking goes on the stage, gets naked in this room, falls apart, and then everyone's cheering for him and shit. And afterwards, Nasubi didn't really like he wasn't famous. That's what he was promised. He was promised fame through this, and he didn't get any fame. So I mean, it was just fucking fucked up. But afterwards, after the competition and everything, Nasubi goes home, and it's completely over and shit. And later in his life, recently, I think, I'm not sure if it's recently, but later, he actually climbed Mount Everest for charity. I think he climbed Mount Everest like twice or something, multiple times, I think. He's been doing a lot of rock climbing and shit, so I guess it has about as happy of an ending as you can have in a psychological torture story. But yeah, he went and rock climbed and shit, and that's what he's up to now, I guess. But the TV show that he was on got canceled after he was on it, because without him, it just kind of fell apart, wasn't really successful anymore. So yeah, that's the story of Nasubi, and fucking, I mean, I guess he's happy today, so that's good.